I'm back on the balcony in this beautiful hotel on the Greek island of Kos, and I'm going to show you one of the best game prizes from the World Amateur Championship, the ACO World Amateur Championship, that has just concluded. Each of the coaches here nominates a best game prize, and this was the choice of Grandmaster Spiridon Skembris. It was played in the B group. That's a rating bracket of 2001 to 2200. So all players play in groups according to their rating, so they always get a fair fight. And playing white, we have Bruno Comes from Germany, and his opponent is also German, Jarno Scheffner. Okay, let's crack on. Let's take a look at this. It's a really sparkling attack. So e4 and a Sicilian, and d6. Now, instead of going into an open Sicilian, Herr Comes plays bishop b5 check. So this has a solid reputation, but not meant to be too fearsome. Well, let's have a look. Now, knight f6. This is an excellent response. Basically, if white steps forward with a pawn, then here's the important move. The queen goes back to c8, and black is really solid there. The queen stays out of trouble, and black can develop very, very easily, e6 and so on. But Bruno plays rook e1 instead, just defending the pawn. I mean, this doesn't have, or let's just say it used not to have a very fearsome reputation. But let's see. e6, this is the best response for black. Basically, you set up in the center very solidly, and the game takes on the structure of a French defense, except that black has got rid of that often problem bishop on c8. And also, white's dangerous attacking light-squared bishop has been exchanged off. So this was always thought to be rather tame way for white to play, actually. The knight hops into the center, so, I mean, white has to deal with this. And knight d2, just exchanging it off. Yeah, as I said, it doesn't look terribly dangerous, and I've seen plenty of games where very often all the major pieces just get exchanged off on the c file and the players agree to a draw. But watch what happens. Okay, a3. Now, as many of you know, I often castigate such moves, but actually there is a point to this one. a5. Okay, black wants to gain some space on the queen side and, maybe claim some squares with a4. But now we see the point. Rook c3. So this obviously prevents a bishop coming in and perhaps exchanging. And this is the first indication that white wants to play in a rather different way to the normal quiet exchanging on the c-file. Knight a7, and I think it's clear from this move that black really doesn't understand what's going on. Knight g5, yes, here we go. So this rook is spinning along the third rank towards the king side, and that's incredibly dangerous. And not only that, but this queen can sometimes move into the attack on h5. So, well, already you can see this pawn is doing a good job. It great spearhead carves out space, very typical for the French defense, and stops black's pieces coming over to defend. It's already quite a difficult position for black, actually. So black played h6, pushing the knight away. And it drops back to h3, but now look. There is a lovely target on h6. Rook c8, of course. black would very much like to exchange off that active rook, but no. White is not obliging, and it's able to come to this beautiful position on g3 in one move. So there is now a threat just to take on h6, exploiting the pin. So black plays king h7. And then, well, it would be hard to resist that move, queen h5. So white has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces attacking on the king side, and well, there aren't really any defenders at all for black. So it's already a desperate situation. Bishop f8 was played now, but just a quick illustration of what might happen if, for example, queen e8 defending the f pawn, then rook takes pawn. And this is already absolutely fatal. For example, here, I mean, if the king goes back to g8, then a check on g4 and mate on g7. And after king h8, knight g5, let's say f5, but then this leads to a forced checkmate, for example. But that didn't happen. Instead, bishop f8 to try and protect g7 and h6. But then, well, okay, you find the win. White to play and win now. So I'll have a drink. You have a think. Cheers. How does white break through? Well, white can afford to give away one of those attacking pieces. This is the game continuation. Knight g5 check. King steps back to h8 and knight f7. And black was a gentleman. Instead of just resigning, he played king h7 and allowed queen g6 checkmate. Very nice. Let me just go back, and I mean, I think this is I mean, it's a very straightforward attack, but you know, this isn't the only occasion where black has succumbed to this kind of attack. One has to be very careful. So, for example, let me come back to this move. Now, knight a7 really is a bit careless. Sorry, in this position. Black played knight a7 in our game. But, I mean, let's say rook c8. So, at the moment, that knight can't come to g5 because of knight takes d4. So the rook has to just tuck itself away on d3, defending this one, and then white is ready. But let's say queen d8 to stop knight g5. So this has been played previously. Well, white can attack in other ways. h4. So it could be that the knight wants to come to g5. Could be that this pawn simply advances and then the knight steps back to h2 and rook g3. In this game, that pawn was taken. I should say this is the game Nevenici against Mantovani. But two, very decent players. g4, this is really nice. So white's king steps up, and this rook actually comes into the attack as well. And you can see that this is looking, whoops, I've misfired. I mean, it's looking incredibly dangerous. And the game went like this, and well, black tried to sort of minimize the damage like this, but actually, white's attack was absolutely fantastic. The knight bounced into g4, and with knight f6 coming, this is still an absolutely blistering attack. So it's not to be underestimated. I know that there are several English players that have played like this. Garwin Jones and Luke McShane have also tested out this system with white, and not to be underestimated. So anyway, congratulations to Bruno Comes for winning one of the best game prizes. So, well, as you can see, I'm still here in Kos, and although the World Amateur Championship, the ACO World Amateur Championship has concluded. The World Super Seniors, that's 65 plus, is about to start tomorrow. So I'm going to be here for a few more days. And it's tough. It's really tough. Thanks for watching.